What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner, a channel dedicated to all things Arsenal Football Club, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the game against Brentford at 3 o'clock kickoff today, discussing possible lineups, possible outcomes. I'll be giving my prediction, as well as other news from around the club. So before we get started, if you could just do me a favour and hit that subscribe button. That way I can keep you up to date with all the news every single day from our beloved Arsenal Football Club. And if you like the video, don't forget to hit like. And of course, all your comments are very welcome and I will answer each one of them. So let's get started. First of all, I just wanted to quickly talk about following Balogun because it came up in Arteta's press conference, and as I'm sure you know by now, he is currently leading Ligue 1 in goal scoring charts. Now, for those of you who've been saying that, you know, it's not a great league, fair enough, but he is outscoring Messi. He is outscoring Neymar. He is outscoring Mbappe. He is outscoring Lacazette. And it is a league that we have spent a lot of money on players from. So I think the fact that he's playing at Rem, or however you pronounce that, which is not a great team, a mid-table team, and he's still bagged an impressive 14 goals. Well, let's put it this way. His stock has never been higher. And the question is, how does he fit into an Arsenal team that he would be returning to this summer? Could you see us dropping Eddie Nketiah, who's been outstanding? Could you see us dropping Gabriel Jesus, who, let's face it, is one of our landmark signings, our marquee players, and somebody who really adds an awful lot to our squad and to our first team, even when he's not scoring, because he's on a goal-a-game goal involvement. So whether that's a goal or an assist. That is a kind of challenge that I think every manager would relish. The point here, though, is that we'd certainly never get more money than we're likely to get if we were to sell him in the next 6 months or so. Now, we did refuse a buyout clause in the loan agreement, so that does imply that we're looking to find a way to play him at some point. That said, his previous loan spell away to Middlesbrough did show that he wasn't quite ready. So whether it's just a case of he's actually found his form, or he's matured now into the player that I think we all hope he can be, that's the big question. Arteta kind of ducked the question as much as you would expect him to, but I think he has a great deal of affection for the player, and I think he'd be more likely to wait on that decision until summer. So the reality here is, I hope he carries on scoring. I'd love to see him end up as Ligue 1's top goal scorer for the season. And I do think that it would be nice to have him in a squad, even if it's Jesus, Nketiah, and Balogun. You know, 3 strikers is not too many, in my opinion. Now on to the injuries. Well, Jesus has been back in training this week. He's on grass and he is running, which is great to see. It's estimated he's likely for a return in early March, and that can't come soon enough, I'm sure, for all of us. Could be an important point in the season for him to come back in. Whether it's in time for the Everton or even the Bournemouth game, possibly a bit unlikely. But for the game away to Fulham, his influence could really make a difference for us against a team who are often tough to break down. Just ask Chelsea, who spent 600 million and couldn't get a goal against them. Emile Smith-Rowe sadly isn't in the squad. We were hoping that he was going to be available for Everton, and then at the last minute he wasn't. Now he's still not available. It's not considered to be anything serious, but the fact that he's out is still a shame. He hasn't kicked the ball for us this season, and he is such an exciting player when he's running with the ball. Certainly can add a bit of a difference, particularly in close games, and you know we have a few of those coming up. Reiss Nelson is another one who, despite being fit, isn't quite ready and also misses the match squad. He's training again, so it is close. Now, on to the game against Brentford. Well, it's not going to be an easy game. Brentford are 7th and they've only conceded twice in the last 6 games and only once in the last 5 league games. They've taken a total of 10 points from the last 12 games, beating teams like West Ham, Liverpool, Bournemouth and Southampton. And I think it's worth pointing out that they're not prolific away from home, and the only points they dropped in that sequence is a 0-0 away to Leeds. Ivan Toney is likely to start, and it must be a difficult time for him right now. He's only scored once this calendar year, and that was from the spot. I wouldn't be betting on him scoring, and neither should he, which, look, I know is a cheap shot, but I'm still salty after his comment kickabout with the lads as they beat us in the first game of last season. Now, it is worth noting that the teams they've beaten have not been in great league positions, but you feel that they have to be getting some confidence out of that. And in Thomas Frank, they have a manager who's arguably in contention for manager of the season, assuming Mikel doesn't get it. Putting Brentford in position to go for Europe when I think most of us had them down as potential relegation is an outstanding achievement. And as for Arsenal, well, we're all used to everyone in the Arsenal squad trotting out the cliche that we're taking this one game at a time. But there is a chance that Mikel may field a slightly weaker side with one eye on the match against City on Wednesday. Tomorrow's selection is going to tell us a lot about whether he means that one game at a time or not. Players that could be dropped, I think potentially Thomas Partey for Jorginho, a player he respects a great deal and I think is somebody who can come in and do a great job for us. And Martinelli, who until the arrival of Trossard had played every minute in the Premiership and had a pretty lacklustre game against Everton. That being said, I would argue that he just wasn't given the ball, and when he was given the ball, he looked dangerous at times. The other player that might be dropped is Ben White, but that wouldn't necessarily be to protect him for the game against Manchester City, because his form has not been what it normally is. So my intuition and past lineup suggests that he's going to keep the best first team he can, and I think that would be the right strategy. If we take 3 points tomorrow, it puts the pressure back on City, who play Villa on Sunday at 4:30. Now, it seems that Manchester City's financial fair play is all anybody wants to talk about. I'm staying out of it because I have no idea. I'm not reading hundreds of hours of legal papers to try and determine whether they've done something wrong or not. Gut feel would be, look, the squad they've assembled, it wouldn't be impossible for me to consider that they have some financial irregularities. But if they have, then, I don't know what on earth Chelsea are doing. And whether it's a loophole or whether you're breaking the rules, if it's an unfair advantage, frankly, I don't think it's fans' business. I think it's business. And I would say, though, that it's hard for me to imagine that this isn't affecting the Manchester City players in some way. With all that going on, there is a chance, albeit a slim chance, that this might be really their last chance to win the Champions League. And that's only a couple of weeks away that they play Leipzig. So there's a lack of focus. As I've said in previous videos, and as I think we all saw in the game against Tottenham, somehow they were able to lose at the Tottenham Stadium. Don't know how anyone does that, but I think it speaks to a certain lack of hunger. If we go out there strong and put that kind of pressure on them when they play Villa on Sunday, if by any chance they slip up, only manage a point, well, then the City game on Wednesday doesn't mean as much to us. And that could set us up brilliantly to further extend our lead over them by beating them, something I think we're more than capable of doing. But in any case, putting your strongest team out against a team like Brentford, playing at home, we are used to a strong start, we're used to a fast start. And if we start with our best 11 and we get a result and it's 2-0 up at half-time, then we can start to think about resting players for the big game. I think the reverse does not work so well. If, as we saw in the Everton game, chasing a game is really difficult. If you go a goal down to a Brentford team who are quite capable of hitting one in from a free kick, then it could be too little too late, whoever you bring on. So my prediction for the lineup is as follows. Now, this isn't really difficult to do as an Arsenal fan this season, and I think that's one of our strengths. Having a settled team that know how they play with each other is really important and seems to be a cornerstone of Arteta's philosophy. So in goal, no surprise, I've picked Ramsdale. At right back, I have chosen Ben White. At left back, Zinchenko. The centre pairing of Gabriel and Saliba. Well, what can you say about that back five already looking very, very good indeed? In the midfield, I've gone, again, no changes. I'm I'm very much in favour of playing Thomas Partey and Xhaka, slightly ahead of those, Odegaard, and the front three of Saka, Martinelli, and Eddie Nketiah. So my prediction for the match tomorrow is that we are going to start quickly, as we do in front of the home fans, who are our 12th man at the moment. Hopefully score a couple of goals in the first half. I think we're in line to win this by 2 clear goals, whether that's a 2-0 or a 3-1. If I had to put my neck on the line, if I am going to be Nostradamus, as I like to be, I'm going to say 3-1 to Arsenal tomorrow. And then let's all watch the Sunday game, the City play against Villa, and keep our fingers crossed that Wednesday night's game could be even less pressure on us than it looks like it might be already. That's it for today. I'm going to be back after the game to talk about the result and hopefully be proven right and be doing a little bit of gloating. But before I go, I just want to say this has been the first full week of this channel. It's had fantastic support. I am thrilled that those of you who have been involved. Don't hesitate to tell me what you think, and let's make sure that we cheer the team on and do everything we can as fans to make sure this 2023 is a Premiership winning season for the Arsenal. Much love.